The Chargers look to send a message by beating the Chiefs early in the season across the pond. We'll talk about it here on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of The Barbershop, one of two shows here on Locked On NFL, where we use the help of local experts to keep our finger on the pulse of the team and tell you exactly what is going on. Been a credentialed member of the NFL for about 2 decades now, and so has my co-host, Matt Williamson, from the Peacock and Williamson podcast, one of the best in the business. We're going to run you through a lot today. Action has already started. It will continue throughout the weekend, so we'll give you a little bit of a pick 'em for that. In fact, we're going to end up talking about all of the games. We're going to pick them for you around the NFL in the third segment. In the middle, Philly orders 4 lamb drops, not lamb chops, lamb drops, and they got them. I'm going to tell you right now, we'll go through that game, but we're going to start the show, of course, at the very top, previewing the Chiefs versus the Chargers. I got to let you know, though, we're free to subscribe to wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you tap into those locations and do not miss. And we always like to thank you for listening to Locked On NFL, and reminder that you can follow our shows and hear new episodes ad-free daily on Amazon Music. So make sure you go over and check that out. All right, Matt Williamson, shout out to the everydayers, of course, that join us each and every day here. We don't take them for granted. Let's give them a little bit of a dose of what they're going to get, man, with these Chiefs and Chargers. That's a big game for the Chargers, probably bigger for them than it is for the Chiefs, because we expect the Chiefs to do what they've done for 5 of the last 6 years, and that's show up and end up as one of the 4 teams. But the Chargers are trying to make a statement with bully ball.
Yeah, and I think playing in Brazil favors the team that goes to the Super Bowl every year. You know what I mean? That just is used to dealing with weird stuff. And Andy Reid in particular, when you give him an extended stretch to prepare for an opponent, he rips them apart. And the Chiefs also destroy the AFC West in general. So I like where the Chargers are going. I think Herbert set up for a big year. I'm a Harbaugh guy. I think this is a really tough matchup for the Chargers tonight.
Yeah, because the Chiefs' perceived weakness is Rashee Rice being out, and then a revamped offensive line, particularly on the left side, on the edges. That's where Joe Thuney was. And, of course, they had a revolving door over there at left tackle last year, and nobody seemed to work out. It doesn't really play into the Chargers' strengths. I mean, the Chargers are okay at the edge position, but Khalil Mack's older, and it's not like they got Micah Parsons or T.J. Watt or Myles Garrett over there where you got a double and all of that stuff. There's an interesting and intriguing matchup, though. It involves a wide receiver. We'll check that out here in just a second. This is from the crossover between Locked On Chiefs and Locked On Chargers.
And I think, as far as another big matchup here on my side, and really just for this football game in general, Ryan, is Trent McDuffie, the fantastic corner of the Kansas City Chiefs, going up against the second-year demon Lambeau Lad McConkey. That is going to be an absolutely phenomenal matchup, and obviously not just because these are 2 of the best young players in the NFL, but it's the byproduct of what it does to the rest of the guys, that now will have more favorable, advantageous one-on-one opportunities that they're going to have to win.
Now, this one I love, because if I could say, name me a wide receiver that kind of plays like Trent McDuffie, but it's on offense, it would be McConkey. And I say, name me a corner that kind of plays like McConkey on defense, and it would be Trent McDuffie. So it's going to be a fun matchup if and when they get the chance to go one-on-one.
Yeah, and I think they'll see some slot reps against one another. I'm sure that they'll do a lot of battle. I worry a little bit more about the Chargers' protection, though. With Slater being out, we got already have some shuffling in the lines. I don't love that this early in the season. But no, I think this is going to be a great matchup tonight. I got the Chiefs winning, though, by 7 to 10 points, something like that. I think they put a statement out there tonight and win pretty big.
Yeah, especially early in the year. I think they try to put a real statement out. The other thing is Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert in the past has kind of gotten a little bit of a pass, and I'm gonna give him somewhat of a mulligan because in the past I didn't necessarily like their choices at offensive coordinator, but it seems like when people talk about Justin Herbert, they put him in the top 5, but he has come nowhere close to being anywhere as good as the other guys. That's Burrow, Allen, Jackson, and Mahomes. And they talk about, and Kevin Ostracker said this yesterday. I didn't want to use the same clip because he said it yesterday. I'm going to get your opinion on it. He said, people talk about Lamar Jackson as if they're really talking about Justin Herbert. And when you flip that, like all the things they say Lamar has never done, Justin Herbert hasn't done any of it.
Oh, yeah.
Close to it.
Yeah.
And what's happening is it's almost like these two guys are being graded on a different test. Now, I do love the fact that Jim Harbaugh has always gotten the best out of all the quarterbacks that he's been around in the National Football League. And I don't think it's going to be any different for him, but do they have enough weapons? Amarian Hampton is going to start. They got Najee Harris. Of course, he's cleared to be a backup. I think they're going to ground and pound. So if they're going to ground and pound, will that ever lead to Justin Herbert getting the credit that he needs to get as a passer?
Yeah, and I don't think the answer is probably no, unless he starts winning playoff games. I mean, no matter how you get there, if you can, Brady's teams were, often run heavy, etc. You start winning playoff games. My biggest issue with the Chargers, though, is I just don't think they're a real talented roster. I mean, I'm a Herbert guy. He does not belong with those other 4. He's not close to the player Lamar is at this point. Well, I mean, that's pretty harsh, but I mean, Lamar is clearly ahead of him, and comparing the two, I think, is crazy. But I just don't love who are the difference makers for the Chargers. I don't see a lot of them, especially compared to a team like Kansas City.
No, I don't. I don't see that. And as much as people talk about Xavier Worthy and whether he's still the dude that is super fast and can make a whole bunch of big plays. I don't see them having that type of player on their team. In fact, it feels like to me everything they get is going to be predicated on ball control and playing defense. It's like University of Michigan all over again, man.
It really is.
Yeah, and to be honest, those San Francisco teams, their best receiver was Michael Crabtree, and Michael Crabtree wasn't necessarily a burner. So maybe it's all about execution. Maybe the weapons are, as Jim Harbaugh has said, the offensive lineman. Maybe he uses everybody as a weapon and tries to play this game, but it might limit opportunities. Speaking of limited opportunities, there were a lot of opportunities for one of the greatest players and best players in the league to make plays last night. Not only did he not make them, he didn't make them in surprising fashion. We're talking about CD Lamb. We're calling them Lamb drops today.
Pretty good.
Hey, man, we got to do it, man. And that's what happened. He dropped some passes, and I do think it was a difference in the game. We're going to dissect both Dallas and Philly and talk about some things that happened in that game that may be a bit of a concern and maybe not of a concern in places where you did not think. We'll go through that in just a second here on Locked On NFL. Oh, man, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. All right, I got to tell you, I'm with my man, Matt Williamson. I'm going with the Chiefs tonight, and I think they're going to do more than whatever anybody is giving them a chance to do. So make sure you go on Prize Picks and check that out. Also, Lamar Jackson, a 0.5 passing yard. They're already giving you one of them right there. That's right, one of your projections. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Locked On NFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good. It's good to be right. All right, moving along with my main man on a Friday on NFL opening weekend, Matt Williamson here from the Peacock and Williamson podcast and the OG from the original Locked On NFL. Love to give Matt credit for that one. Philly and Dallas. I'll start with CeeDee Lamb. It's a night that he probably wants to forget. I'm not concerned with it to the point where it's a problem. It's early in the season. But nonetheless, we have seen, just like last year with the Bengals, where one game early in the year, especially a game when you could have stolen one in the division, you can't let these things get away. But last night, that's exactly what happened. Before you speak, Matt, I'm going to put Landon McCool up here from Cowboys with his instant reaction from last night's loss.
There are no moral victories, especially for CeeDee Lamb, but the Cowboys still impressed in a loss to the Eagles on the road. Hi, I'm Landon McCool at the Locked On Cowboys podcast, and considering how the Cowboys were, or at least the Cowboys fandom were feeling about this team going into a Thursday night game, season opener in Philadelphia, the night that they're getting the banner hung, it wasn't a lot of high expectations for the Cowboys, but I think Brian Schottenheimer, made a statement to the league that this team is not going to just go quietly. There is a lot to clean up for this defense, and the offense certainly kind of puttered at the end of the game, specifically because of CeeDee Lamb drops. But I think that the Cowboys should be happy with the way that they played, the way that they game planned for this game, and the energy that they played in throughout the game. Despite losing 24-20 to the Philadelphia Eagles. For more on this, make sure you check us out on the Locked On Cowboys podcast.
All right, Matty, let's get into it. A lot of stuff we have to peel back here. First and foremost, it was a good game by the Dallas Cowboys. It just reminded everybody how talented they are.
Mm-hmm. So there were so many storylines for this game. I mean, everyone's talking about Micah Parsons before the game even starts. Rightfully so. Huge story. And boy, did the Cowboy defense miss him, especially in the first three quarters or so. Then, in a very stupid and kind of disgusting fashion, Jalen Carter gets ejected before you know it. And boy, did they miss him. Two of the best defensive players on the planet aren't out there for their two teams for different reasons. And both offenses are having success like crazy and just moving down the field pretty consistently. And frankly, CeeDee Lamb was great for about three quarters, too. He's putting up big numbers, playing phenomenal. It looked like Mitchell was on Pickens a high percentage of the time, and they're trying to double Lamb, but it didn't matter at all. I thought both quarterbacks played extremely well, especially Hurts, using his legs and very poised in the pocket, even though A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith were non-factors in this game. If you told me they would have combined for like zero production, I would have been like, man, they look beat bad. Not the case at all. And then you have this delay, and all of a sudden the offenses just dry up after the storm. And, the Lamb can't catch anything. Everything's kind of out of sorts, and the Super Bowl champs find a way to win.
That's what they do. And in a game like this is exactly what you were talking about with the Chiefs, by the way. When things get weird and get different, it's going to be the team that is used to winning in weird and indifferent situations, and that's exactly what happened. But I think we need to put this stuff in perspective. First of all, if people are going to start looking at the Cowboys and saying, "Oh, I see why they traded Micah Parsons," then you're blind, because the only thing they got for Micah Parsons right now is Kenny Clark. As good as he is, that was a one-on-one swap for this season. Those draft picks don't matter. The fact that they used some of that money to extend other people don't matter. They would have rather had Micah Parsons last night than Kenny Clark. They wasn't even stopping the run, even with Kenny Clark. No. So that's one thing. The other thing is, let's not forget, they actually invested in their offensive line for years. And now all of those dudes named Tyler, including the rookie and Tyler Guyton, they got three Tylers on their team, by the way. It's like George Foreman's kids on the offensive line. So, but they got a bunch of Tylers, and guess what? Eventually, when you keep doing that, and that was a point of discontent that I had with people that thought Dallas needed people outside, I said, no, they need to invest in their infrastructure on the offensive line. And adding Javonte Williams, they look very good. They look like we expected them to look. And Schottenheimer did call aggressively and did get them into situations that we did not see under Mike McCarthy. But this isn't an indictment or an attaboy for that trade. Whatever that trade was or is favors Green Bay right now.
We may be talking about Dallas being 1-0 if they didn't make that trade.
Exactly. And all of that stuff matters. Philadelphia. I got a little bit of feeling about Philly. We're giving them credit for winning those games, and I'm going to hear from Lou DiBiase right now. Now, I'll come back and tell you something that might be a little concerning for me.
Well, it wasn't easy. The Philadelphia Eagles had to overcome Jalen Carter getting kicked out of this game before it even started. A lightning delay, but a win's a win. 24-20, the Eagles are 1-0 to kick off the 2025 season. And the story of this game is Jalen Hurts being clutch and calm when, again, they had to overcome a lot of obstacles to get this first win. Jalen had to answer the bell. The Dallas Cowboys scored on their first 7 possessions. Jalen kind of got into a little bit of a shootout with Dak Prescott. And if you look at the passing game, receivers were not open. Hurts had to elevate this offense and carry this defense with his legs. This game really was a perfect representation of what makes Jalen so special, how he's elite in a different way from other players because of his rushing ability and his clutch gene. Back-to-back rushing touchdowns in the first half kept this game tied. That really kept the game without letting it getting out of control, and then he had a game-clinching run on 3rd down to put the game on ice in the 4th quarter. This game was all about Jalen Hurts, even if the numbers weren't sexy.
Here's my concern. They look too much like the Eagles pre-Saquon Barkley. And the connection between pre-Saquon Barkley is also pre-Kellen Moore. I was sitting there looking at that game last night, and I'm thinking like this. A championship team has one drive in that second half where they go down, they manufacture. It's like calling a timeout in basketball and you need a basket and you go to that one play that you know is going to get you a layup. They did not have that. They didn't dial it up the way I think Kellen Moore did so much last year, and they're going to miss him. And not saying that they didn't have a good game plan, but I was looking in the second half for them to have that one drive where they go score a touchdown and they make Dallas desperate, and I didn't get it.
That's a wonderful point, and I think you said it extremely well. I'm also with Lou in that, not that I've been a little critical of Hurts over the years. I mean, just because his situation's so good, I've said things like a lot of quarterbacks could succeed in that system, and I'll still stand by that. But I think that also sells Hurts short for how much better he gets all the time. I mean, he must be a maniacal worker, and everyone says he is, and he's super smart and loved by his teammates, because the calmness and just the pocket ability, we all know he can run people over and tush push and all those things, but distributing the football, taking what they're giving you to Dallas Goedert for just little small gains. I thought Hurts played very, very well. And you got to keep moving him up the quarterback list. I mean, he just keeps winning, and that's his job. You know, I think one of I forget who the commentators were. I wasn't paying that much attention. They're like, quarterback's job is to convert on 3rd downs and in the red zone. Well, this guy does that.
Yep. And you know, there's something to be said too about winning. When you actually win these games, even if you get to these games in the past and the fact that you didn't win wasn't your fault because he outplayed Kansas City in the game that they lost in the Super Bowl some years prior.
Right.
But winning actually, let me do a food reference. It puts a bay leaf in your chili. And once you put it in, that is in there forever, right? It adds a certain flavor. And you can only add that flavor when you actually hold that trophy over your head. And I think once you won, it's a part of your DNA, and it's easy for you to pull these games out because you've done it on the ultimate stage. And then the thing is, everybody else believes in you. We talked yesterday about Vic Fangio in the secondary. They got some things that they need to figure out on the back end as well. And Jalen Carter had a lot of bad rap before the draft. People thought he was a top 3 pick. He ended up going 9th or 10th. He played well enough the first couple of years to make people forget about that. And then in one stupid moment, it's going to take him 4 or 5 years. Now, I think it's going to mess with his bag. I don't care how good of a player you are. When you do boneheaded stuff like that, you do it on national TV. And the first year where the league is now going to be really, really honing in on sportsmanship, I think that kid cost himself a lot of money and ruined a lot of goodwill that people had for him.
Yeah, it was a really, really dumb thing to do. I mean, you really think you're going to get away with it for one thing, and it's the very beginning of the game. It's also just disgusting if anyone would do it walking down the street or to your friends or whatever. But you're also the best player. We need you, man. Be smart.
Absolutely do, especially after the losses that they've had in the offseason. All right, Matt and I are going to continue our tradition of our whip around where we pick all the games for this weekend, including tonight's matchup with the Chargers and the Chiefs. We'll do that in just a second here on Locked On NFL. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go above, beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. Mazda offers more than safety. It's won more 2025 IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. It's the small details that make the big plays, and just like there's more to every player, there's also more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, you need to move and be moved. Also, today's show is brought to you and sponsored by our friends over at DoorDash. Listen, it's almost time for more games this weekend and time to look back and crown this week's MVP. Who delivered? Powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it on down. I got to give it right now to Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles. He delivered in a big way. Fourth quarter running that allowed them to milk the clock, getting key first downs, juking people in the open field on one-on-one with no hesitation and no. I'm telling you right now, just like Jalen delivered for his team, DoorDash delivers for Saturdays with DoorDash streaks. You save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Make sure that you check this out. DoorDash, Saturdays. Just like Jalen Hurts, they will deliver. My man Matt Williamson and I are going to sit here and run these games down. I will remind you to check out the Locked On Podcast newsletter on lockedonpodcast.com. Lots of information in there you can reference to if you can't watch or hear us. You can still read us, especially if you're in the airport with nothing to do. You get great information. Make sure you check that newsletter out whenever you get a chance. All right, Matty, let's go around the National Football League and pick a winner. For odds now, you guys need to go over to FanDuel. Our friends at FanDuel will give you your odds. We ain't going more or less. We're just going to pick the winners here. Moneyline style. That's right. Chiefs and Chargers. I think I know where you're going, but go ahead and give it to me, Matty.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs here. A lot of it's just because weird stuff, weird surface. And I just think they're used to it with all this prep time. I'm feeling very good about the Chiefs tonight.
So am I. This is an interesting game in a real football-y kind of way. You know, you think Raiders and Patriots, two teams trying to figure out. But no, to me, I love this game because it's two teams that really want to play the same way with two coaches in Pete Carroll and Mike Vrabel. What you got?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I mean, people are looking at it like, man, that's a stinker. I'm like, two new coaches that have won a lot of football games between the two of them, trying to put a new facelift on these franchises that were once proud. I'm going to take the Patriots to squeeze it out, but if we were doing with the lines, I'll take the points. I mean, I think it could be really, really close, really competitive down to the end.
It seems like, too, they have a lot of interchangeable parts. It seems like Mike Vrabel would love to get his hands on Ashton Jeanty and Brock Bowers. Well,
yeah.
But it seems like they really, really line up with the way that he plays. All right, Matty, the team that you cover is on the road against the Jets. Aaron Rodgers going back where he came from for the last 2 years.
So this is the first time in NFL history that the quarterbacks starting were on the opposite team the year before for week one. I didn't know that it was the first time ever. I mean, it was pretty crazy. But I do think that favors the Steelers. They know Fields better. This is a new staff that didn't work with Rodgers. That Vera Tucker injury, I think, is really critical for them. I like the Steelers in a very low-scoring, ugly Tomlin game that they win in the end.
I think, though, with Aaron Glenn, Jets fans will come out of that game kind of like Cowboy fans come out of this game. Like, you're going to lose, but you're going to look up and say, you know what? We might not have our quarterback yet, but we got something. And we got to keep building on this. I really like Aaron Glenn as a coach. All right, fun game here. It's always fun in the we rag on the NFC South, but those games usually are very, very, very exciting. And now you got the Bucs going up to Atlanta. This is a good game last year. What you got?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one too. I'm sure it'll be very loud. People are psyched about Penix, as they should be. But the Bucs are a been there, done a team for me too. Not to the Chiefs and Eagles level, but I think they handle this storm and get out of there with a win.
I'm interested to see about that Falcons pass rush, the one that we have spent so much time talking about, and rightfully so, because they've been non-existent for 2 decades. It's going to be a real good test for them against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their new offensive coordinator also. Miami, the team with all of those Ferraris and not enough dump trucks. I think their defense, I saw their defense close up in the preseason against Jacksonville. They're a little bit better than I think. They just got to stay healthy. But they're going up to Indy to play the Colts. What you got?
Yeah, I like the Dolphins' D-line. I think people aren't talking about that. I really think their corners are bad, but I really like the defensive front. I like Miami to win this game. I mean, early in the season, Ferraris are good in a dome in September, you know?
Yeah, especially when the team you're playing has issues at quarterback. And, that's going to be something to watch. Another 1:00 game, team coming from the left coast. The Arizona Cardinals bring their team into New Orleans to play the Saints. And Kellen Moore, who we mentioned, first-time head coach, no longer with the Philadelphia Eagles. Can they pull the upset in the dome?
I doubt it. I mean, I think the Saints are going to really struggle this year, but I am a Kellen Moore fan, and I bet this one's a lot closer than the spread indicates.
Yeah, I'm a little bit I've been way more impressed with him than I thought I would be as well. And then I watched the game last night, and I'm saying, yeah, it wasn't just the addition of Saquon. It was also the addition of Kellen Moore for that 1 year as the OC. The G-Men, the Giants, and their improved defense try to go down to Landover to face the Commanders. Lots of talk about both of these teams in the offseason. I'm still picking the Commanders. What about you?
I am too, but much like their New York counterparts, how you mentioned it, Giants fans, I think, are going to come out of this one going, okay, I'm starting to understand where this team's at. I think that D-line will be really hard to play against, the defense in general. Professional quarterbacking from the Giants will go a long way compared to last year. I think they keep it close.
And then the Giants perceive weaknesses their offensive line. Commanders perceive weaknesses their defensive line.
Yeah, so, I'm not impressed.
Yeah, maybe you can make out of that whatever you want. I just don't think the Giants are going to be able to win the game, but I think they'll come out of it playing pretty well. The team that I covered, the Jaguars, were hosting the Carolina Panthers. The last 2 offensive coordinators for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers face off as head coaches. Dave Canales along with Liam Cohen. What you got?
I like the Jags. I'm really warming up to this offense. I mean, if you're putting out a DFS lineup, I'm sure you can get Lawrence at a nice price. I think he puts up big numbers to both those receivers in this game.
I do too. And watch out for Brenton Strange, the tight end. This is a bust out opportunity for him right in the middle of that field. And he could be that red zone target that gets a lot of points in fantasy football. Bengals and Browns, and every time I see these two teams match up, I always think about the late great Sam Weiss saying, "You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati." And I just think about the rivalry. I'm going with the Bengals because I think they got too much power on offense.
I do too, and boy, they've been so bad to start the season the last 5 years or so. But they did play their guys, and I think the Browns. You look at the Browns' first 6 games; it's going to be miserable for that team, man.
Yeah, now if the Browns start winning these games, people are going to be going like, hey, man, we misjudged this, but I don't think it's going to start this week. Titans at the Broncos, I think this is a tough game. If there's one game that could be a blowout, I think it's this one because I think Denver, one of the best defenses in the league, against a rookie quarterback, as good as I think he has a chance to be, this is a bad game to come out with in the first week.
Yeah, I'm in an eliminator pool for the first time in my life. I mean, people have always asked me about them, and I took Denver this week. I mean, they never lose at home to start the season in the high air when everyone's huffing and puffing, and they're just a much better team. I agree. If there's a blowout, I think it's the Broncos.
Man, good corners, good front seven, altitude. Yeah. Your offensive line is bad. You're a rookie. Your coach might stink. This is a tough game for Cam Ward.
Yeah. Surtain on Ridley. You know,
the kid from Texas, the rookie. It's wow, man. One of the best games of the week. And the second, I believe, the third 4 o'clock game we're going to preview here. This is the one everybody's going to be watching, man. Dan Campbell and the Fighting Kneecap Lions going up to Green Bay to see if Jordan Love can start making people believe in him again. And Michael Parsons apparently will play. What you got?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Packers. And this one I just looked at like, give me the home team. If this was in the Dome, that would be so loud and a brutal place to play. Green Bay fans have to be so optimistic right now. I think they're close to equal teams, but I'm just taking the home team here.
Two more here, actually three more here. We'll go through them real quick. One of the best games of the weekend, Texans and Rams.
I think Houston wins based on their defense. I think that pass rush, Stafford with a bad back, those two edge defenders and the corners, I think Houston's defense keeps us very close and they end up winning this game.
And a challenge for the secondary of the Rams going up against Nico Collins.
Yeah.
Game of the week, obviously, is Sunday night. That's Ravens and Bills, man. A lot of people are going to read a whole bunch of into everything based on this result. What you got?
Whew. I just want to watch it. I just want to get my popcorn for this. I want to watch these two quarterbacks. I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, so I'm going to go with them.
I'm going to go with Baltimore as well. I think they come out gangbusters, and then they're going to give a lot of looks in the secondary. They got a lot of real good names in that secondary. And I like the young kid Starks too. All right, the last but not least, the Minnesota Vikings with their rookie quarterback going up against second-year quarterback in Chicago to face the monsters of the Midway on Monday night.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Vikes, and I don't think they're going to ask a ton of McCarthy, but I think he'll be up for the challenge when he needs to make a handful of throws in this game. And I think the Vikings O-line has a big advantage against the Bears front.
Yeah,
rebuild O-line.
I'm going to surprise you a little bit. I'm going with the Bears. I think the Vikings are going to finish last but I think it's going to be a very, very tight division where the difference between the last team and the first team is probably within 3 or 4 games. Mm-hmm. And you can find out what I thought about that too on a show that I did a couple of days ago with we previewed the NFC North. Also, check out the season previews for all of those divisions. Those are on the Locked On NFL page. Make sure you go and check that out. We appreciate you spending these 32 minutes with us here today on Friday. Happy weekend. Happy first football weekend from us here. We appreciate you joining us. Y'all enjoy it, and we'll be back Monday morning. Take care.